Welcome, everybody. I am Shayna Weber, and this is the Emerging Screenwriters Interview Series. I'm going to change it up a little bit this time. Instead of introducing my guest, I'm going to let my guest introduce herself.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Alli Kiko Masloske. I am just a little mixed race Japanese kid from a John Hughes-esque suburb in Chicago, Illinois. I write dramedies, mostly that, tackle tougher topics with grace, humor, and a lot of heart is what I love to do. Um, I kind of grew up really sickly. I have a chronic illness. You can see that a lot in my work actually too. And so I was like in and out of the hospitals my entire life. And so I watched so much TV and I watched so much movies just being in the hospital. I think I think I've seen every single original episode of the Forensic Files series. Like you could play the first couple seconds and I was like, I know exactly how he did it. Like I've watched so much TV and it became kind of this safe place, this solace that I looked for when I was like, attached to an IV pole. And so when I finally got a little healthier and it was time to, what do you want to do with your life, kid? I was like, I want to do the same thing these storytellers did for me, which was create characters and places that in your darkest moments you can escape to. And so that's what really led me to get my degree in screenwriting from Columbia College Chicago. And since then, I've bopped around everywhere in this town. I think I've been out here for, gosh, like 10 years now. I've worked with Netflix, Austin TV, Netflix Animation, and Amazon Studios. I'm currently writing and developing a video game overseas in China right now. It's really been a blessing to do what I've been doing and being able to tell the stories that I do. And so it's just been such a wild ride, and I'm so glad to be here.
What a great writer's statement. I mean, Felicity and I at ISA, we talk about developing your personal pitch. When
Mhm.
somebody asks you, tell us about yourself or what do you write? And that, what you just did, is exactly what you should prepare for yourself and have just working through you so that it's an easy thing to say. Because I just threw that at you. I didn't really prep you that I needed you to do that because I wanted to see what you would say, and you nailed it. That was great.
Thank
I
you.
learned so much about you, and I have so many follow-up questions, and that's perfect. That's exactly what you want. So, hooray!
Thank you. I can't take all of the credit myself. I think a big thing I think all writers need to do is know your brand. Like you on a page, I need to be sold on you like within the first 2 minutes. So I'm a Cape Fellow. I was a Cape Fellow of the New Writers Fellowship in 2024. And a big thing that they do there is that they make sure you know who you are. They really hone in getting your 2 minute personal statement down. And I think that's so important for writers because that's what you're going to do in your generals. That's what you're going to do in your showrunners meetings. That's what you need to do on page one of your screenplay. Right. So thank
Right.
you. I appreciate that. I've worked hard on it.
How long did that take you to sort of cultivate that into the 1 or 2 minute version that you tell today and kind of like own it and feel comfortable saying it?
It's funny because I feel like if you meet me on the street or just meet me in person, I'm very bubbly. I'm very extroverted. Getting that shiz down was not easy. Because I just left out the part that I used to be a zookeeper too. See, I missed one part. There you go. So it's stuff like that. They literally would have a little like 205, gotta cut it down. And like you need to be at 2 minutes. And it's not like a mean thing. It's like this is what you're gonna do to be successful. So I went through so many different iterations. And when you're and that's the thing about being a writer too, is you have to have some, semblance of self, being like, oh, this sucks. I am dying in this room. And I would be like, I'd be doing it in front of my cohort and I would just be like, this fucking sucks. Like I need to go. This is a page one rewrite.
Right.
I'm selling myself. And so I really just had to strip it down and really be like, what's the pertinent information, what's going to make me so memorable, and what's going to really be like, oh, you know exactly what I write and where the heart is. Because a big part of my writing, the reason you call me into a room and the reason why you give me this contract is because I bring the heart to any piece. If it's going to be devastating or if it's going to be uplifting, well, it depends on the piece. But you get that from my personal statement. And so that's what I really honed in on. And that's where I got how I got to what I have today.
That's awesome. And I love your confidence about it. I mean, I think that there's so much good nuggets in there, just from life experiences and how you were raised, where you were raised. We do need to talk about the zookeeper aspect that you missed because yes, now I need to know more about that. Um, but it was so dynamic and tight. So well done.
Don't be afraid of recording yourself. Don't be afraid of a timer. That's what it is. You
That's
like
what I do.
there's so much exactly. There's so much fear we have as artists. You need to get the F over yourself. Is really what it is. And I'm still working on
Yeah.
that.
I know, right? I think part of it for me is I always have to remind myself, amuse yourself. Like make yourself interested in you, of the
Yep.
things that are interesting about you, that someone else might find interesting as well. Um, so let's talk about as a kid, when you were watching Forensic Files and watching all these movies, what were the movies that or shows besides Forensic Files that you look back on that were like the ones that sort of emulate what you write? So for me, I would say Labyrinth was one of those movies that just like stuck with me and kind of everything that I write, even though I write horror and it's still in that kind of zone,
Mhm.
weird and a little bit off kilter. And I like that. So, what were those films or shows for you that really stick with you still?
Easily every day of the week, my answer will always be Avatar: The Last Airbender. Because it was the first time I saw like Asian culture being so celebrated on TV in such a super just culturally specific way that didn't feel gross, but it's most so like this is a show about adults who screwed up the world, and it's up to a bunch of these like misfit ragtag kids to save it. And it radicalized me not only as a writer, but as a person, because we have first crushes, we have first love, we have genocide, we have war, we have death, we have plague. And it's hitting all of these extremely tough topics with grace and a little humor. Like we could have, like my whole airbender society was wiped out, but also we're gonna throw a cabbage at your face. Like it was so well balanced, and it radicalized me, like I said, as a writer and as a person, because this is the stuff I want to do. I want to be able to make you cry and then smile and then laugh almost in the same page in a
Mhm.
way. And I do animation. I have done animation, but you see that across all the genres I write, every script that I write, even if it's more so a straight up half hour comedy, there's going to be little nuggets of heart that's going to make you go, "Aw." That's what I love to do with my writing is I want it to sit with you. I want it to almost haunt you in a way. I want you to leave the movie theater. I want you to leave watching your show, reading whatever, and just kind of turning it over in your head and continually digesting it. And so that's what I love to do.
Let's talk about your culture. So that kind of made me think about, was that sort of I know it's not the first time that you saw yourself on screen, but does that kind of tie into that same idea of like maybe you felt like, okay, I can see myself in these misfits. So
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Because it's not just, being Asian, being mixed. It's everything, right? I was the fucking weird kid. I don't know if you can swear. Sorry, Scott.
you can.
I'm from Chicago. It's endemic to us. It's part of our culture. But no, I was the weird kid. I was the sick kid. I didn't get to go to, Parent Trap-esque camp. I couldn't swim in the lake because I have a disease that could make me sick, and so I saw all of these weirdos. I saw all of these kids who didn't necessarily have friends, who seemed different, find kind of band together and find a found family. And that's another big thing in all of my pieces is found family and friendship and, stuff like that. And so I feel like people, even especially as adults, we forget how hard it is to make friends. Um, and yeah, I think seeing myself just represented in any way was just really, really helpful for my self-esteem.
Right. When you first started writing, what did you write? What was like the first thing that you wrote?
I first started writing. It's funny, because I think it's for a long time I was like, I'm a writer. I'm a writer. I didn't write shit. Like you, and that's I think a lot of pitfalls we have is that you can say you're that thing, but until you have pages,
Hmm.
um, I'm gonna need you to have pages. Like I'm not necessarily I need you to prove it, but like I can't say I'm an astronaut. I haven't been to
Right.
space. Like, not anywhere the same thing at all. Very different degrees right there. But uh I my very first piece that I ever wrote, and it's still one of my favorite samples, it still does so much work for me, was a script called My Girl Kyle. And I think it's on my ISA profile too. It's one of my favorite pieces. And it was something that I wrote. I don't think I wrote at that point. I was also very sick in Chicago. I just got out of like my second hospitalized stay, and I was like kind of in the hospital system, not shocking. When they can't fix you, they just kind of kick you out,
Mm.
you know? And that happens a lot. And so they're like, eh. And so I was just so sick in my apartment, literally dying. And I wrote this piece because it was something that my friend was going through, and it kind of sparked my own queer journey. But I had a really, really good friend that I knew from like high school. And this is I've known them since like, freshman intro to natural science, whatever. But I was like in our 20s and they came to me and they're like, Allie, I think I'm trans. What do I do? And I was like, I don't know. But like, can you help me? I was like, of course. Well, of course. I mean, you're my best friend since intro to natural science. Of course, I'm gonna help you. And I got a passenger seat to that first year of their transition, like finding them, watching them love and find themselves and be able to look in the mirror and see and love themselves for the first time. Uh, Actually brought me on my own queer journey as well. So it kind of that smashed together and became My Girl Kyle, which is about two friends who have a summer apart. And Lynn's like, okay, this is the year, sophomore year of high school. It's a very sex education, John Hughesy, YA. I'm going to tell Kyle I'm in love with him. Perfect time. And Kyle's like, I did a lot of thinking this summer. I need to tell my best friend Lynn's that I'm trans. And, I don't want to say chaos happens, but it's more so just like, what? What are we going to do?
Life
And so
happens. Yeah.
life happens, and it's a love story. It's a very queer, happy ending love story that a lot of queer stories don't get. And I found a lot in queer journeys, especially trans journeys in modern TV. It's kind of we're already established in our transness. We're already kind of established in our queerness. My Girl Kyle looks at day one, the egg cracks. Day one, diary, dear diary, this is what happened. Like, and we go from there.
Mm.
So we don't really see that a lot. And so I wanted to show that journey. And that's came out of me being utterly sick and utterly depressed. But I was also going through this with my friend at the same time. And so that piece came out of it. And I saw a million different iterations. And it's the 1 hour dramedy YA sample it is now. But I love it. I still love it. I hope it gets made someday. It's my love letter to the queer community. So it's
Yeah.
one of my favorite pieces I've ever written.
And what was your process like then in writing, and how has it evolved to now?
It's funny. My writing process is kind of the same. I envy free flow writers. I I cling to my outlines. You will can't rip them out of my hands. I need them. I'm a big fan of documents and I use the app Notion.
Mm.
So every time I do a new script, I have a new tab, or even just in Google Docs where you can have like little chapters, little segments, characters, theme, beats, outline, and then I'll have links, especially if it's a historical piece. I have all of my history. I have everything in one place. So if I need to refer to anything at all, I know exactly where to go. Also a big like step one, like for me, is I actually create a playlist.
Mm.
I'm really inspired by music. My dad is a professional acoustic performer. I've been around music my entire life, and I feel like I assign songs to characters. I assign songs to scenes, and it's one of the ways I've been able to avoid having writer's block ever, which is a very kind of like I don't get writer's block. But I've kind of like Pavlov dog trained my brain. Um, that anytime I hear this song, I can write. So it's
Cool.
works every single time. And I will take lyrics from songs, like I said, assigning those songs to scenes and characters. If I'm stuck, if I feel like I've lost the external, internal, or philosophical stakes of my piece, or the North Star of my piece, or if I'm confused on what my character wants, I'll go back and listen to that song. 9 times out of 10, it'll give me the answer. So I kind
I
of
love that.
biohacked
That's
my
great.
brain, right? And so I think if you find a way that's kooky like that that works for you, keep it. And that's something I've done for years. It goes all the way back to like playing American Girl dolls with my sisters and having like my boombox and having like music tracks. Like it probably stems from that.
That's so good. Speaking of writer's block, it's something that, a lot of people talk about, and it's not very divisive. It's not like in our world today of divisiveness. It's divisive. But some people are like, oh yeah, writer's block is real. And other people are like, no, writer's block is not real. It's you being stuck. It's you not doing the work where you're at.
Mhm.
Like you can't go forward because you didn't do something right back here. But I love your perspective of you don't get it because you're prepared. And I think that's the thing. It's like if you're prepared and you can get
Mhm.
yourself into that place of just continuing to write, there you go. I mean, I can say I've had writer's block, but it's because I didn't have it figured out. So I couldn't go forward because something was wrong, what I had already written. And that's because I wasn't outlining back then. When you outline, you already
Mhm.
know what's coming. And now your character does get to charge forward and you get to follow their journey because you already know where they're going. You don't get
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like this is my personal, I don't know if it's controversial, hot take.
hot take,
I
hot
think
take.
hot take, here we go, animation alarm bells. I feel if you could figure it out on the page, more power to you. Love that for you. I can't do that. And it's more so because I was like, oh, I'm just gonna figure it out on the page. I'm just gonna go to script, figure it out on the page. I feel like you're wasting time. I think it's a hard thing to ask your little brain to not only be formatting, to be looking for tone, be doing character, be doing plot. What page am I on? What act am I in? What and be like, I'm trying to figure out this one problem, or maybe it's multiple, but if you I wouldn't go to I wouldn't go to script, I wouldn't go to story to figure out my problems. I'm gonna go back to my characters
hmm
because my characters in my story are the ones figuring out my problem. So if
Right.
I can't figure it out, the hell that they can't. I
Right.
made them. Like
They're out there just living. Like they don't
they're
know.
just I'm telling them what to do. So I'll always go to character, always go to character, and that's gonna tell you. And I think it also saves me on drafts too.
Yeah.
I could probably go through 15 drafts of an outline, but when I go to script, I feel really confident. And my outlines are huge, by the way. I don't write full scenes, but it also looks like an insane person, like stream of consciousness. But like I can kind of see where the plot holes or the holes in the script are going to be in the outline. I don't have to go 32 pages deep into my feature that all of a sudden realize I have a glaring story problem.
Right.
Um, so
It's so
That's my two
hard to
cents.
fix in the script on page 70. You know, when you, it's so much easier to go to your outline and be like, okay, scene this, what am I missing? You know?
Mhm.
So yeah, totally. Outside of writing, I'm going to jump to that just for a minute. I want to know what, there's the zookeeper thing. I know you have animals. Let's talk about you aside from writing.
Okay. Me outside of writing, I am very interesting. And that's what I think is an important thing too, is that you shouldn't just be a writer, right? That's your job. Treat it like a job.
Mhm.
But I beg new writers to do it for the plot.
Mm.
Do go out and have really fun, lived life experiences because that's going to help influence your writing. And that's exactly what I did when I became a zookeeper, which is wild, which is such a hard left turn. I was so jobless, so broke, and I was like, I can't get. I think my room got canned because of the writer's strike, and I was like, I like animals. Let me just and I like literally, I'm not even kidding. I typed into Indeed jobs with animals, and this like no experience zookeeper thing popped up, and I was like, this is fake. And you know, 3 years later, I have 10 animals behind me. So like, it was something. I do a lot of animal advocacy, so I do a lot of that. Uh, being a zookeeper was so fun, and it helps me realize that there's things so much bigger than myself that I need to be helping with. I was able to work with kids. I was able to work with adults in need. I was able to work with all these animals in need that wouldn't really have, a good shot at life if we weren't able to intervene. We worked a lot with animals that were smuggled into the country. So I think we had like lizards that would come in that were smuggled and like music speakers for like the pet trade and stuff like that, or baby spiders or baby tarantulas, spiders and tarantulas. But there you go. Baby tarantulas stuffed in a bunch of paper straws, taped to someone's leg. They put their pants on and like go through the airport.
Right.
That's how they smuggle
That's
tarantulas.
crazy.
Yeah, and so that was my life for a couple of years. And that's how I ended up with all of, I think I have an iguana, I have a bearded dragon, three hermit crabs, a snake, and three rats, and a dog who's out there
Can
somewhere.
you imagine being on an airplane next to somebody who's smuggling tarantulas and straws and they
Can
like,
you imagine?
you're like, oh my God, it's like snakes on a plane except tarantulas.
But
Oh
it's
my God.
with tarantulas.
Worst nightmare, just a tarantula like crawling out of the straw hole. Okay, so when you say zookeeper, what like set the scene for me in terms of were you dealing with these smaller animals or were you like in the tiger like all of it?
All of it.
Hired you with zero experience? Oh my.
So at crazy. So I've worked at three different rescues
Okay.
across Los Angeles now. So not like true AZA, which is the Association of Zookeepers,
Mhm.
something like that.
Not like at the
I've cut that
LSU. Like you didn't work
at
at
the L.
okay.
No, I think I could though. But now I went back to school actually to get a certification in zoology and aquarium
Hmm.
sciences because I fell in love with it. And uh it's something that I do outside of writing that I want to keep doing to help animals and kids like learn, right? But yeah, so it was everything. 14-foot snakes. It was parrots. It was kinkajous, which is like a type of crazy nocturnal looking monkey, even though it's not a monkey. Alligators, giraffes, ostriches, zebras. I never got like big mammal like
Mhm.
tigers, but servals, bobcats, lynx. Like I hand fed eagles on the regular, which is something that most
Wow.
people can't say,
Yeah.
you know? And everything from the tiniest little like isopod, which is like a roly poly, to things like giraffes, to things like monitor lizards, um, huge scorpions. It was so much fun. So a lot of what I did at these three different places was I would be the zookeeper, I'd give tours, I would
Mm.
talk about these animals and where they came from and why it's so important to protect our wildlife and our ecosystem. We also would go to schools with I would pack like a 14-foot snake into my Mazda and drive around LA and like bring this snake in at the time, no degree, and be like, hey kids, this is a reptile, put it around your neck. You know, with dubious qualifications.
Right.
But but that's what inspired me to go get those qualifications was because I loved teaching these kids so much because there was something about it where like seeing their faces like light up when I would tell these stories about these animals and they were just so interested and they just wanted to help.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was really inspiring to me that I was inspiring these kids to go help, just to help in general.
Yeah.
Right? And eventually too, which is funny, they were like, hey, one of the schools I worked at, they were like, hey, we had a science teacher call out. Do you want to be a science teacher? I was like, it, I was just like, I nearly failed high school. I I was a terrible student. Terrible. It was undiagnosed neurodivergency because it was the 90s and I was a girl and they're like, girls are stupid. We don't need to test them for anything. Yeah, they gave me a white lab jacket and I taught science labs and it was so much fun. It
God,
was so
I love
much
that you
fun.
just dive in. Like,
Yeah.
as women, we tend to be like, no, I need this step and that step and this, and I'm not ready. And I love that you just were like, okay, let's go.
And I told them, I was like, listen, I have a BA in screenwriting. I'm getting all these other certifications and stuff, but like, I'm down if you're going to have me. And that's what I say when it's like, you got to do it for the plot. What instance would I get to do that ever again? And it's kind of like, what instance would I be able to feed an eagle regularly? You don't. And so
Right.
now I can say that, like, I have all of this
You just got
fun, weird.
party tricks like, oh
I
yeah,
do.
I've fed eagles.
I think what's the craziest one was I think when we lost a snake, it got out in one of my coworkers' cars because they're tricksy like that. And they got stuck in her engine. And we were it was like literally a cartoon. It was like we're trying to pull the snake out of a car.
It's like, no, no.
Yeah. Or like I had a possum, like a literal possum, get out in my Mazda and I had to pull over on the 405 and I had to like try to dig through my car and like people are like pulling it. They're like I was like, it's fine. I came here to write. Like it's
That's so funny. I love it. Yeah, what great stories you can tell when you're ever in a pickle,
yeah.
and like don't know what to say. You just, hey, let's talk about zoology.
It's yeah, exactly. It's a kind of I'm really good at trivia night. But it's one of those things too where it's inspired my writing, right? So
Yeah.
I'm actually writing and hopefully taking out a half-hour comedy about that.
Oh, fun.
You
I love
know,
that. Yeah.
it's like a workplace comedy about a bunch of illy prepared zookeepers just trying to do the best they goddamn can, teach these kids while, a monitor is loose in the like a school,
Yeah.
that's what it is.
See, you got to use what you know.
Exactly. Yeah,
Go
right,
and
you know.
learn stuff. Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit. Let's go to writing and ISA, which is obviously our platform. How did you first learn about ISA, become involved with us, talk about contests, all of that good stuff?
So I think I first got involved with ISA when I actually won the grand prize for emerging writers, which was a drama, like emerging writers
The
drama
Emerging
screenwriting.
Screenwriters contest?
Yeah, emerging screenwriters contest, and I won for drama. I won the grand prize for drama, which is insane. I've never won a damn thing in my entire life like that. Was not a sporty kid, was not talented like that. But to have that accolade and that laurel, it's crazy. I can say I'm an award-winning
Mhm.
writer now, and it really perks some ears up. And you don't need things to be like, oh, you're a good writer because you won this, but it sure helps. I mean, and that's how I got onto the ISA Dev Slate. That's how I got onto ISA's, top 25 screenwriters to watch in 2025. And it's been a blessing, ever since.
And let's talk about what you're currently working on and what you hope for the next year, maybe 5 years, like big picture. What do you want?
Big picture. So right now, the script actually that won the grand prize and actually got me into the Cape and has actually placed and won a few other contests is my script Paper Flowers, which while I say I write dramedies and more comedies, sometimes this is a straight drama. This is historical. This is intense in a good way.
Mhm.
But I'm actually turning that into a two-act play.
Oh,
So I'm
cool.
hoping to have that go up maybe sometime next year. And it's been really, really cool. It's very politically and socially of the time
Yeah.
right now, uh, to say that. And I'm excited to see where it goes and to keep this conversation about protecting our rights
Hmm.
in current conversation. So I'm doing that. I'm doing that half hour about being a zookeeper. Again, hard left turn, very different from the play. And I'm also getting back onto features and on features sets. And so I'm working with a few productions right now, and looking to do my own feature very soon,
Yeah.
or a short film, I should say, very soon.
And ultimately, like, what's the top of the top for you in terms of like goals? Do you want to, are you just like writer, I'm a writer, or are you thinking of producing, directing, anything like that beyond being a writer?
All three.
Okay.
Um, I came from acting. I would love to get back into it. It's one of those things where that's a job. That's I don't feel like actors get enough credit for how often you just need to be auditioning and doing your self tapes. And that's something I don't have the time for. But maybe someday again. But writer, director, producer, absolutely. That's why I'm getting back into doing features because I want to be a writer director. I think that's really cool. And I think why I didn't previously is because I was standing in my own way. I was like, I just need to be one thing. I was almost had this weird misogyny about it. I was like, no, I shouldn't really do that. I was like, why not? Do
You're
it. What
conditioned
the?
to think that.
Yeah. Yeah, and so it was like it was my own self standing in the way. I was like, no, I want to be the captain of my stories, and that's how you do it. And I want to, like I said, at the very top of this is I want to create these stories that are going to be important to people. I want to create stories. I'm creating stories that people will seek when they need comfort. And so having all of your hands in these different jobs, being a producer, being a director, being a writer is how you do that. And so that's the goal. I would love to, get back into a writer's room soon. I would love to sell a feature soon. And it's all of those things, right? And so with the state of our industry and our world, unfortunately, there's no telling where anything can go or anything can happen. But as long as I'm writing and I'm creating stories with characters that I'm passionate about, I'm happy.
Good. And I always like to wrap these up with tell me a piece of advice that you would give your younger self, whether it be about writing or just about life. If you could talk to your younger self, what would you say?
Be mindful and be grateful about where you currently are. If I would have loved to know that I ended up here like 7 years ago when I was at my sickest and my lowest and my saddest, that all of the little annoying things that happen now, I would have died to know that I was doing that. Like, I think you never know where you're going to end up, and just know that this isn't, even if you're going through it, right? Creatively, financially, in your job, it's not the end.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really believe in losses,
Mm-hmm.
right? I don't believe in losing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna lose, but I'll go out on a draw.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I say. I was like, I'm not gonna lose, but I'll go out on a draw.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
So just being so grateful for the journey, as hard as it may be, and just not don't try to censor yourself. Don't be so protective of yourself. Don't be protective of your work. If you're gonna be a storyteller, you got to get it out there. If we're gonna be storytellers, your stories have to be perceived. So get it out there to be perceived. Um, don't put all of these rules on yourself when you already have to conform to so many goddamn rules in the world? Like, why are you just get out of your own damn way is really what it is. Is really what it
Get out of
is.
your own damn way.
Get out of your own damn way.
I
The
love it.
worst you could be is cringy. I'll never be boring. Like, it doesn't matter. It's so serious, but at the same time, it's not.
Yeah.
Uh,
Awesome.
Go forward and prosper, I guess. Yeah.
Amazing. It was so great to talk to you, Alli. And I feel like I know you better. I hope that our audience knows you better and goes and checks out your profile and checks out your work. And if you want to learn more about Alli, find her on ISA and reach out, read her stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, read my stuff. Love to make something. Love to make something soon. And thanks
Awesome.
so much for having me. It's been a blast. I'll see you
Awesome.
around.